please walk with us through the bad times as well as the good. May we be heard and understood from the suburbs to the hood. May you judge us by our hearts and not by our mistakes, and see that we get our breakthrough, however long that it takes. May you fill that void in our souls that will lay our fears to rest. But there's no way we can live for Jesus when we're living in the flesh. So I pray that you allow our spirits to be born, grow strong, move on, know right from wrong. 1 John chapter 2, verse 15. Do not love the world or anything in the world. And we know what that means, but listen. We know the distance we need to be away from fire to keep it missing. But that doesn't mean we'll listen. Lord, you take care of fools and babies. Teach women to honor their men and men respect their ladies. But lately, so many of us have gone astray, doing wrong for so long that we've forgotten the way. Please bring us back home, instill in us the word, which is our backbone. We're just children that act grown. There is so much that we're entitled to, yet we receive so little. Because in this time of spiritual warfare, we're comfortable in the middle. So I pray that you open our eyes, give us the anointing to recognize the devil and his lies. If we keep our actions wise, our prayers sincere, our head to the sky, you will diminish our fears. In Jesus' mighty name we have prayed. Amen.
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 That was legendary rapper DMX delivering the opening prayer for the Versus battle against Snoop Dogg. It took place last night online across social media and streaming platforms. At its peak, more than 500,000 fans reportedly tuned in to the Versus battle via Instagram live streaming. While I feel like overall that battle was just a win for the culture and great content for memes, jokes. Yes, y'all, if you haven't already seen the memes and the jokes, they should be coming to you soon. For a plethora of reasons, but just, you know, an overall win for the culture and the brand. It was X's like opening prayer that really did it for me. There is no doubt, at least for me, that he's always been a spiritual person, willing to wrestle with his demons in front of us all, on wax, from the booth to the stage to interviews. And that's what I've absolutely grown to respect most about him. His prioritization, I should say, of being a spiritual being, having a human experience, and reminding us that we too are doing the same. So I just felt like that was a really great way to start Throwback Thursday. And if you missed that battle, you definitely should check it out, preferably in its video form, not just the audio. Like, I know after every battle, versus battle, Tidal, for example, creates a playlist of like the songs pound for pound, like how it played out for each round. But you can also, you know, all you got to do is pretty much Google it and it comes up. I know Apple Music, they dropped it, or we're live streaming it, and I think it's on YouTube now. But I would definitely say just check it out. And if you got time to spare this weekend, or you know, maybe today, tomorrow, tonight, whatever, just watch it. It's a good time. It's a good time. It's not censored, so it's uncensored, y'all. And this is DMX and Snoop Dogg. So, I mean, just know that you're getting what you show up for. But it was a show that I very much enjoyed. And so, yeah, with that said, hey, loves, I'm your host, Sincerely Sarita, and you are tuned in to Happy Hour on WURD, the best place in Philly to get uplifted and empowered. Today is Thursday, July 23rd, 2020. And yeah, a happy Throwback Thursday to you all. Shout out to the folks who are joining us for Happy Hour. All of you who are tuned in on 96.1 FM and 900 AM, streaming on wordradio.com, Word TV via Facebook Live, and the free Word app, which is available in the Apple app and Google Play stores. Word TV fam, you already know. Do us a solid. Press the share button. Start a watch party. When it comes to Happy Hour, the more the merrier. I hope you have your cocktails, your mocktails, your water ready. Keep the water on deck. It's hot out here in these streets. I've been in these streets quite frequently in the past 36 hours or so. And yes, water is required. And honestly, I don't care if it's day or night. Like, you just got to keep it in your system, okay? Because it's just too darn self-censor, too darn hot out here, okay? But anywho, question of the day. Because, you know, I be on social, right? And I'm just scrolling through social. Coincidentally, I did not end up seeing this question on social. It was actually text to me. And when I got it, it just tickled me. I thought it was hilarious. And so I'm now presenting it to you all, but I know it started on social, so I just want to at least give some kind of credit because it is not credited, like the photo itself. So I don't know who asked this question originally, but now the question is out here in the universe and it's coming to you. And so in honor of Throwback Thursday, I want to know, do you still talk to your prom date? And do they look better or worse? Kayla J just fell out. Do you still talk to your prom date? And do they look better or worse? I want to know your answer. Call in. Let us know. 215-634-8065. That is the hotline number. Again, 215-634-8065. You can also call in toll free, 866-361-0900. Again, 866-361-0900. Do you talk to your prom date and do they look better or worse? Shout out to my girl Kayla J, holding down the phone lines, the board, and everything in between. Kayla, should I go to the phone real quick, or what you want to do? What you want to do?
Nah,
Before
not to the phone, not yet, not yet.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
I think we good. I think we good. But first, how you doing? Second, what's your answer to the question?
So I'm good. It's Thursday, Throwback Thursday. I see we twinning today.
We twinning. Look at us, y'all.
I don't know if they can see me.
No, you say something, because when you say something, then the video on Word TV.
Well, you gotta be quiet for them to see me.
I know, but I was just trying to instruct. All right, I'm gonna be quiet.
I know how to talk. I know how to do my job. Did it switch to me yet? Because I can't look and talk.
I mean, what do you want me to say? It'll switch to me if I say.
This is so as y'all can see, I'm goofy today. She ran right into my trap. But yeah, I got my Throwback Thursday chain on. I'm ready for it. But to answer your question, so to be completely transparent, yeah and no. I still talk to my prom. He be hitting me up and I'll be like, what you want? And then he play on my heartstrings. I just want prayer. Sure.
Oh.
All right.
No,
So
he did not use Jesus.
I can't deny boy prayer. But I chit chat with him every now and again, and yes, he looked 10 times better. He grew some facial hair. I'm not a big fan of facial hair, but it works for him.
What?
Yeah, nah.
You from Philly and you not with the beard?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, nah.
Blasphemy.
Like I'm not too much into it.
I mean, it's not my place to judge.
I said I'm not too much into it. I'm not like
Okay.
I don't want no full beard. You can have a little bit.
What, like a goatee?
Yeah, as long as it ain't scratching me. I'm being honest. I'm not down with the kissing you, and I feel your mustache and your beard. I don't like that. I don't like the way the hair feels.
Shout out to the Bearded Brothers.
No, y'all
I
look.
just
no.
I
need y'all to know the Bearded Brothers look good.
That joint hit.
Just ain't for me. Y'all look nice. You just ain't for me.
Too much.
There's a
We're
lot
doing
of
too much already.
Smooth skin brothers. Shout out to
them too.
But yeah, no, he look
Nothing
better.
like that Philly beard though. You got to be able to that is an achievement. When you there are levels to this beard status. Listen, if you're tuned in, okay, and you are a gentleman who happens to have a beard, feel free to call in and let us know. Speak to the journey, to the growth of your beard and
I know
what it
I
means.
have
215-634-8065. I feel like it's one of those late night commercials where they have maybe the beard oil.
Yeah. If you would like to tell us about your beard and how you soften it by using beard conditioner, please give us a call, 215
866-361-0900, toll free. Shout out to the bearded bros.
But how about yours? Does yours look? Okay, mine look better and he sounds better. He. I think puberty hit him.
They didn't even say sound better. You added a whole.
But I had
Aries
to add, no.
Another level.
I had to add that because I don't know if you listening. I'm sorry if you listening because he actually do be listening sometimes. My family called him Poindexter because he looks like a. And he had the highest squeaky voice. Oh my god. So he got a little bass now to his voice.
His octaves dropped.
Yeah.
Got you. I'm gonna leave that where it's at. Loves, call in. Let us know your answer. 215-634-8065. Toll free 866-361-0900. The question again, in case you missed it: do you still talk to your prom date? And do they look better or worse? When we come back on the other side, I'm gonna tell you a little bit. I'm gonna answer that question. Right, the question that
she can't get out of it. I was going to keep bringing it up. So how about your prom date?
Y'all got to think about and don't say nothing. You got to think about my life story because I've shared it multiple times at this point. So you got to think about who was my prom date. Number one,
I know.
Don't. Okay, who was my prom date? And so what does that mean for how we answer this question? Right. So we're gonna take this break though. When we come back on the other side, we'll get into it. And I'll also, bring not just, the rundown, what's on tap for the show today. Usually I do multiple headlines or get to them throughout the show. I just got one today because there's an issue that we need to be very aware of, and it is tied to a 15-year-old girl in Michigan. And if you don't know about that story, we definitely need to make sure you know about it. And also, I want to put something else on your radar, which is this video that dropped today featuring former President Barack Obama and presidential hopeful Joe Biden. They had this kind of conversation-style interview. And I don't know if it's going to make a difference for you. Maybe it'll make a difference for some other folks. But we're going to play a few clips. I say one. No, we're going to do one. We'll play a clip from that and then hear your responses to it, okay? So stay tuned. You're listening to Happy Hour on WURD Radio, 96.1 FM, 900 AM. I'm your host, Sincerely Sarita. We'll be back after these messages.
It's Happy Hour with Sincerely Sarita right now on Word Radio and WordRadio.com. Now, a traffic update on Word Radio.
Busy afternoon on the Delaware Valley roads. This report is sponsored by Mattress Firm. Schuylkill Expressway westbound is jammed up from University into the Vine Expressway. Left lane blocked by construction, right lane getting by. That's scheduled to stay out there through the rest of the day into the overnight. Further west on the Schuylkill, slowing from City out to Belmont. Schuylkill eastbound, that is stop and go. Conshohocken into Belmont, slows again Girard to the Vine, and then you're jammed between Passyunk and the Walt Whitman Bridge with construction in the left lane. Vine Expressway westbound jams Broad Street back to the Schuylkill Expressway. 95 as you head northbound, it's heavy from the Vine Expressway to Girard, then jamming Allegheny to Bridge. South on 95, that is stop and go from Cottman into Bridge, and then jams again from Ridley Park into 320. Traveling on the Boulevard northbound, it's slowing from West Hickin Avenue up to Broad Street. Bridges over the Delaware River, they look good. Through South Jersey, stop and go 42 southbound from the Walt Whitman Bridge into 295, and it's heavy on 295 southbound from Warwick Road into 42.
Right now at Mattress Firm, save up to $300 on top-rated brands like Sleepy's, Beauty Rest, and Serta. Plus, get a free adjustable base when you spend $6.99. Shop now, in-store, online, or by phone with a sleep expert today. Don't wait.
For more traffic information, log on to SIGAlert.com. I'm Brendan Joseph with your Philadelphia area traffic.
Check out the Source lineup on Word Radio. Mondays, get ready for the rapping professor, Dr. Aaron Smith. On Tuesdays, it's Andrea Lawful Sanders. Then on Wednesdays, it's the Black Women's Leadership Council. On Thursdays, it's a second helping of Andrea Lawful Sanders. And on Fridays, it's Tiffany Bacon. Don't miss the Source. Monday through Thursday, 1 p.m. till 4 p.m. and Fridays, 10 a.m. till 1 p.m. Exclusively on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live on WordRadio.com and on the Word Radio app.
What's up, Philly? It's Sincerely Sarita. What a year. COVID-19 has shaken our communities to their core, and as we bravely but cautiously dare to consider life on the other side, we need to admit that things may never fully return to normal. But maybe that's not such a bad thing, especially when we consider the education of our children. Commonwealth Charter Academy, with nearly 20 years of experience of providing online education, is now enrolling for the fall. Visit ccaeducate.me for details. Here are the benefits to your family. Online public education complete with a laptop and headset, all at no cost to you. World-class instruction experienced in the safety of your living room over the internet with absolutely no cost to your family. Access to a flexible schedule that accommodates your work or extracurricular obligations. Visit ccaeducate.me today and discover the advantages of Pennsylvania's largest public cyber charter school as our communities emerge from this pandemic with hope, wisdom, and spirit.
WordRadio.com.
Hi, I'm Amine. Sometimes starting a conversation with a friend about mental health can feel awkward, but your support can make a huge difference. You know your friends best, so if you feel like something's wrong, trust your instinct and reach out. Learn how to start the conversation at seizetheawkward.org.
Brought to you by the Ad Council, the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, and the JED Foundation.
Show some love for your favorite neighborhood with Word Radio. It's the Summer of Freedom Virtual Neighborhood Love Tour. Mondays and Thursdays now through August 20th from 1 p.m. till 2:30 p.m. Shining a light on Philadelphia's neighborhoods with a focus on neighborhood history, Philadelphia's freedom fighters, and community resources that are helping to shape the city's future. Mondays with the rapping professor, Dr. Aaron Smith, and Thursdays with Andrea Lawful Sanders. It's the Summer of Freedom Virtual Neighborhood Love Tour. Mondays and Thursdays, 1 p.m. till 2:30 p.m. exclusively on Word Radio. 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live on WordRadio.com, the Word Radio app, and on Word TV via YouTube and Facebook. The Summer of Freedom Virtual Neighborhood Love Tour is sponsored by Wells Fargo and Pico. It's Happy Hour with Sincerely Sarita right now on Word Radio and WordRadio.com.
Child's eyes and I saw this beautiful things that you never think about, like the ocean, moonlight, stars and clouds. It's amazing how we don't appreciate our blessings. There's plenty of people who don't like me, but there's 10 times more who love me, and I love myself. Sometimes it gets tough, but I can give up, just take a deep breath, hold my eyes, feel the love and give a smile. This morning the sunshine was shining.
Hope you're flying. You're back listening to Happy Hour on WURD Radio, 96.1 FM, 900 AM. I'm your host, Sincerely Sarita. All right, so we got a few things here. Let me start by giving you what's on tap for Happy Hour today. All right, so during this segment, what we're aiming to get to is definitely this video that just dropped featuring Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden and former President Barack Obama, their first in-person meeting since the coronavirus outbreak began. It is an interview-style conversation. It covers a myriad of topics. It includes healthcare, Trump, and the future of America. It shows Obama pretty much emphasizing Biden's experience, putting a stamp on him, letting folks know to vote for him, all of that good stuff. But it also captures their criticism of the Trump administration strategy, or lack thereof, to combat COVID-19, which has now reportedly killed more than 140,000 Americans. So we're going to give a little taste of that. At 4:45, we have the Geek and Mix. It's brought to you, of course, by Philly's own DJ Geek. That's Geek with 3s, not E's. At 5 p.m., it's a family affair with our word fam, Mama Maisha. Per usual, you don't want to miss that. At 5:30, we have Tyler Byram, who is Associate Sports Editor for NBC Sports Washington, checking in with our sports report. At 6 p.m. we have our happy hour friend Ernest Owens back to join us and discuss what's happening over at Fox 29 Philly, as well as his most recent appearance on the BBC. Okay, so that's what's on tap for today, Throwback Thursday. Shout out to all of you on this Throwback Thursday. I shared that I'm not giving, I usually try to get to 2 or 3 headlines today. I'm not getting to that. I'm going to do one, and that is because I want to make sure that you know that there is a judge in Michigan who won't free a teenager there who was sent to juvenile detention after not doing her online schoolwork. Judge Mary Ellen Brennan denied a motion to release a 15-year-old, 15-year-old Grace from a juvenile facility. Okay, Grace is black. Brennan is white. And so one of the quotes attributed to Brennan during this process is this: "I think you are exactly where you are supposed to be. You are blooming there, but there is more work to be done." And so Brennan is a family court judge, right? And this week, she denied this motion to release Grace, who has been held at a juvenile facility since mid-May. Okay, since mid-May. She's been in a juvenile detention facility for violating probation after not doing her online schoolwork. And Brennan has said that she believes Grace will benefit from the ongoing treatment there. The decision came despite arguments that have risen from the attorneys of Grace. And of course, we're using one name to protect her identity because she is underage. But their argument was that therapy and educational support services that she receives at the facility are inadequate. And there has been a statement by the prosecutor that his office supported her release, right? So her attorneys are saying she's getting inadequate treatment and support, or support, I should just say. She's getting inadequate support, and the prosecutor is supporting her release. Like, they're saying, all right, like, she can go home. She pretty much shouldn't be here. And yet, she's still there. So caseworkers for the court and Children's Village, which is where she is being held, that is the juvenile detention facility, testified that she should be kept at the facility until she completes this months-long program. So according to ProPublica.org, and that's Publica, so Pro, P-R-O, Publica.org, After the hearing, Grace and her mother, whose name is Sharice, got this opportunity to embrace the first time they have had physical contact since May 14th because of these COVID-19 restrictions. Wearing masks, sobbed, just having this very emotional moment before leaving the courtroom separately. This was a 2-hour hearing at the Oakland County Court. Judge Brennan, apparently mounted a defense of her initial decision in May to place Grace in detention for the probation violation, and devoted about 45 minutes to recounting just this troubled relationship between Grace and her mother. It's been a ride, to say the least. What we know at bare minimum is, at this point, whatever Grace and her mother's relationship has been, they both would prefer an alternative than what is happening right now in the midst of a pandemic. And there's been a lot of questions, a lot of just blatant pushing back against this that has been rising. Folks are speaking out on social media in general, stating that, really speaking to the fact of the reality, which is that not only do Black people in general, African Americans, but young Black women, right, are more likely to be penalized in the education system and in educational environments, right? Just basically that question is, if she was white, would she still be in there right now? Would this 60 plus days, would she still have been in there right now? And so there are petitions that have sprang up. One I know on change.org was looking to get 35,000 signatures. And now last I checked, they've surpassed 35,000, are now trying to get to 50,000. And over on change.org, they share a snippet of a letter that Grace wrote to her mother. And in the description, they share that, there's this understanding of holding kids accountable, but that this seems to be an overreach, that there has to be some kind of middle ground, especially during a pandemic, to figure out the best course of action for this particular family, especially, additionally, when we have been releasing adults who are fully knowledgeable about what laws they have chosen to break and what decisions they've chosen to make with their fully developed adult brains. And yet we have a 15-year-old girl who, of course, I would imagine is not the only one, but at least in this case that we know of, is still sitting in a juvenile detention facility. And I'm gonna be honest, as far as the probation is concerned, that's not even a primary concern for me. It's not. If you had her on probation, and the only thing, and we see this happening with adults as well, especially in the Black community, where any slight of infraction, boom, you're continuously stuck in the system. And now at 15 years old, she is clearly stuck in this system for not doing online work. We have kids out here right now of all races and creeds and ethnicities who did not complete their online work. And they are not imprisoned. They are not detained. So there's no kind of grace that's afforded to just children across the board, probation or not, about your homework during a pandemic. That doesn't make sense to me. That does not make sense to me. And anybody who knows me knows I'm definitely for accountability, but no. Like this to me, this is beyond accountability. Everyone right now is trying to adjust to a pandemic, that a global pandemic that for most of us, none of us in our lifetimes have experienced. And to be sitting in a detention center for, at this point, like 60 plus days is absolutely a whole no. It just should not be happening. And so this is me personally encouraging you to go do more your own research. And if your research and your personal, convictions lead you to sign a petition to reach out on her behalf, I'm saying run with it. That's what I'm saying. Because this is unacceptable. This is unacceptable. And again, going back to the fact that it seems, as has been communicated by both parties, they would rather be with each other than her being in a facility, a detention facility. I absolutely think we got to make sure that safety is the top priority, all of those things. But my concern is more with the system, the systemic structure of how this decision was, how we came about to this decision. That's the problem. And the statistics that already show black youth, specifically black girls, are more likely to experience this kind of injustice or this kind of over-criminalization of their existence than any others. So yeah, I don't have any other headlines. That is the headline. I want you to know about that because Grace, 15-year-old Grace in Michigan, is not the only one. She is the one that we know about right now. And I'm sure folks who have been about this work, they could name so many more. I'm just trying to let you know about one. Grace, that's the one you need to know at this point. And hopefully that leads to more. Want to go to the phone lines? All right, so we're going to go to the phone lines. We have Maurice on line 1. Hey, Maurice, are you there?
Yes, I am.
What's going on? Thanks for joining us for Happy Hour.
Well, I want to ask you two questions, then I want to be able to make my point. You say you don't know why that young lady's in jail. If you read the crime bill, 1994 crime bill, you don't know why she's in it. The judge had the power. The reason why I want to ask you two questions.
I just want to specify. I'm not saying I don't know why she's in there. I gave some context.
The crime bill will tell you why she's in there. Mm-hmm. Why the judge had that power to do that. Mm-hmm. First, I'd like to ask you two questions. In 2000, in Pennsylvania, that's the first question. The judges up in Scranton, PA, was taking kids from Pittsburgh and Philly that was supposed to be placed in group homes because they was homeless, and they placed them as juvenile centers. Them two state judges was convicted for 30-something years apiece. Them two judges. So my second question is, do you know Rick Ross?
Well, the first one wasn't a question. So what's the first one?
No, the first one, that was the first question. Did you know about the two judges upstate Pennsylvania that was taking kids off the street that was homeless?
Yes.
Did you know about them two judges?
Yes. I've definitely seen reports about that.
Okay, my second question, did you know the Rick Ross, the real Rick Ross?
In Florida?
No.
Okay. Do you want to specify?
Rick Ross is.
Wait. Hold on, Maurice, because I need you to we got to be succinct because I have to go to break. So I definitely want to engage in this conversation with you, but I also don't have a lot of time. So I'm always here to be educated, but I want to know what is it that you want to make sure is communicated.
That how the crime bill was tied to hip-hop, Rick Ross, and it ties to reparation. And it ties to this young girl you just spoke about. Okay,
what does that mean for what we need to do now for her?
There's nothing you can do for her.
So I got to stop you there. That is what I don't believe. And that is what I will consistently reject. We will never look at anyone that we see being a victim of injustice and say there's nothing we can do. That's not it. Regardless of the laws or regardless of whatever the policies are, there will never be a point in my entire lifetime where I will look at any of this and believe that there is nothing that we can do. I don't care if you got to sign a petition. And I do believe in the power of petitions, because a petition that I started is what enabled me and my children to not be homeless while I was in college and they were trying to close family housing. And it got the attention of the administration there. And that led to me being in a meeting that now has enabled housing at Temple, family housing at Temple University to still continue. So I can't say, I don't subscribe to this idea that there is nothing we can do. I don't care if it's a petition. I don't care if it's you rolling up in Judge Brennan's inbox. I don't care if it's you calling the prosecutors out there, calling whoever you need, marching in the streets, protesting in the streets. You do what you have to do, but there is something that we can do. For this 15-year-old girl, black girl, who should not be in a detention center right now. And shame on any of us as her elders who believes there's nothing we can do for her, who would just leave her to the system. That's where I gotta say you're tripping. Anyone who's thinking like that, you're tripping. You can think however you want about the system. We can know whatever the reality is in the system. And the reality being that, yes, we may not be able to save everyone, but that does not mean that at any point we should not be putting every effort of our energy that we can, as we also still work to survive in this country, towards our young people. I'm going to take a break. And when we come back on the other side, we're going to get into this geeking mix so we all could breathe a little bit. I'm not even going to say we all, so I could breathe a little bit, because I'm not going to hold you. I done work with young people, and I dare anyone, even in the city, to roll up in happy hour and try to say something like, it's too late for our young people in this city and beyond. It's too late. There's nothing we can do for them, when there's so much more we should be doing for them. Y'all won't dare cast them to the side and forget about them and leave them to the wolves. Absolutely not. Happy Hour on WURD Radio. We'll be back after these messages.
Dietz & Watson has been making premium meats and artisan cheeses for over 80 years. And when it comes to stacking sandwiches and party platters, they've got something for everyone in the family, like maple honey turkey breast, American cheese, buffalo chicken, and more. So get to your local deli and taste 4 generations of family recipes. With Dietz & Watson on the table, you'll have everyone coming back for seconds and thirds. Dietz & Watson, it's a family thing since 1939.
Recovery starts with a call. Pennsylvania's Substance Use Disorder Hotline is staffed by real people who are trained to help. They're here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They'll get you or your loved one into treatment regardless of your access to insurance. If you or someone you know is suffering from addiction, call 1-800-662-HELP. Recovery starts with a call.
Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
Support independent black media and join the Forward movement now at 215-425-7875 or visit wordradio.com.
This message is from the Philadelphia Department of Public Health. COVID-19 is still a threat in our communities, but we can all do something simple to help stop the spread. It's critically important to wear a mask or face covering whenever you're in public or around others. Yes, even while social distancing. Wearing a mask shows you care for yourself and your community and is essential to slowing the spread of COVID-19. So love yourself, love your neighbors, wear a mask.
Keystone First VIP Choice HMO SNP Dual Eligible Special Needs Plan has a 4 out of 5 star rating and is one of the highest rated Medicare plans in the region. Keystone First VIP Choice and you are better together. If you live in Philadelphia, Bucks, Chester, Montgomery, or Delaware County, and you have both Medicare and Medicaid, choose the Medicare plan that is working to help you get better care. Enjoy extra benefits at no cost to you with Keystone First VIP Choice. You get benefits like dental, vision, and transportation to and from your medical
medical appointments. They also cover a fitness membership to a gym of your choice. $150 toward over-the-counter pharmacy items. There's no copay for doctor's visits. They offer a large provider network, a great prescription plan, dental coverage, and even eyeglasses. Plus, you don't have to wait for open enrollment. You can change your coverage every quarter. Keystone First VIP Choice. The name you trust, the service you deserve. Call Keystone First VIP Choice today at 1-877-686-1760 or visit KeystoneFirstVIPChoice.com.
It's Happy Hour with Sincerely Sarita right now on Word Radio and WordRadio.com.
Flashbacks of the times we've had. Some made us laugh and some made us sad. We used to break up to make up. All the fun that came from those love days. Oh, when I think I need someone new, no, it just won't do. Because I think about you, baby, from beginning to end. 365 days of the year, I want your same old love and baby. All I wanna do is keep on loving you. I want the same old love. There's a reason that I feel this way. All the things you do, well, it might be the things that you say. Your love never changes. It's like a picture in a frame, and it remains the same. Your undying love for me, oh, it keeps me strong, keeps me holding on from beginning to end. 365 days of the year, I want your same old love, baby. And all I wanna do is share my life with you. I want your same old love. Same old love, and all I wanna do is share my life with you. The same old love, from beginning to end, 365 days of the year. I want your same old love, and all I wanna do is share my life with you. I want your same old love. From beginning to end, 365 days of the year. I want your same old love, and all I wanna do is share my life with you. I want your same old love.
Where do we go? Who knows? But each day gets better. I just can't let her go. Oh no. Each kiss gets sweeter. I just can't leave her. No. I'll write a song. I've thought about it for far too long. But I've never had someone to sing about until I met her. Now each day gets better. Nobody knows, nobody sees, nobody else understands me like she. Now that I know gets sweeter. I just can't leave her, no. I just hang her right a stone without her. Tell her I don't wanna live without her. Tell her I would build my world around her. Deeper and deeper, sweeter and sweeter. I'll never leave her alone. Where do we go? Who knows? But each day gets better. I just can't let her go. Oh no. Each kiss gets sweeter. I just can't leave her, no. Each day gets better.
I just remind me of summer. I'm talking about English summer. You know where it rains? Yeah, but it's remind me of you. We don't need to be just a memory. It was the worst time for you to notice me. 'Cause you had yours and I had mine. Still would find to see if it makes sense. So it makes sense when you put your lips on me. And the feelings get the feeling that this was meant to be. No. Well, apparently you only get one chance. And this is something I may want to last. But we both got other things we got to do. And that don't stop this girl from feeling you. We need to take it back.
Shout out to DJ Geek. That was this week's Geekin' Mix. You can follow her on Instagram at DJ Geek. That's Geek with 3's, not E's. You can also catch her over on Mixcloud.com, MixCloud.com. Her full list of mixes are there. You have some of the edited versions, some of the unedited versions. You get a little bit of everything over there. So shout out to her for bringing us some good vibes on this here Throwback Thursday. We're taking a break. When we come back on the other side, it's Family Affair with Mama Maisha. And also I'm realizing I didn't answer the question about the prom date situation, right? Do you still talk to the person you went to prom with? And if so, do they look better or worse? Yeah, we just put it out there like that. Call in 215-634-8065. Toll free 866-361-0900. We'll be back after these messages.
Start every Sunday the right way with Sunday Morning Praise, hosted by the Reverend Louise Williams Bishop. Every Sunday morning beginning at 6 a.m. right here on WURD 96.1 FM and 900 AM. Streaming live at wordradio.com and on the Word Radio app.
Pico has many ways to help you lower your energy usage and save money at home. Here's one. Have an old working fridge or freezer in your garage or basement? Pico will pick it up, dispose of it responsibly, and give you a $75 rebate. That's right, $75. Plus, you can save as much as $150 a year on your energy bill by getting rid of it. Just schedule your pickup at pico.com/recycling or call 1-888-5-PICO-SAVE today. Be sure your fridge or freezer is plugged in and working at time of pickup.
This is Kelvin Jeremiah, President and CEO of the Philadelphia Housing Authority. At PHA, we remain dedicated to serving our more than 80,000 residents during these challenging times. We have been providing masks to all PHA residents and access to healthy meals for kids. Our offices are closed to keep everyone safe, but residents can pay their rent online at pha.phila.gov. The Philadelphia Housing Authority is opening doors to opportunities.
This is Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Black Talk Media.
You are back listening to Happy Hour on WURD Radio 96.1 FM, 900 AM. I'm your host, Sincerely Sarita. Shout out to our folks over on Word TV. I'm scrolling through responses and all of that good stuff. Malcolm said, I'm trying to catch up on these. We can always do something. We can change laws. We can't throw away the youth. I think Brother Shamari put out a book called Why Our Young People Hate Us. Aaron Smith touches on this also. Yeah. If you heard it, then you heard it, and you heard my response. That's just that simple. And to the young people that I know, who I have personally served in the city of Philadelphia, you absolutely matter. You absolutely matter, and especially most of y'all I know who tune in and are tuned in. You know me because I've been in your classroom, or you know me because we have texted, we have DM'd. You have kept me abreast on what's developing in your life and how you're navigating it. I'm sharing what I've been through in my life, especially during my teen years, and giving you those tips, tools, whatever it may be, to navigate this time that you're in your life. And with that being the case, you also know if anybody is riding, it's Miss Rita. Period. You are never to be forgotten, never to be overlooked, never to be undervalued. I don't care what the past is, not just yours, but this country, our people, like our culture. I don't care what the past is or what the future looks like or what the present is. You know what it is. You know where the value lies. You know what your responsibility is to your family, to yourself, to your community, to the city. You know all of that because we talked about it more than once, pretty regularly. So regardless of what you may hear in these streets, you know what the truth is. You know what your value is. And don't let anyone tell you differently, even if it comes from within our own community. Period. Period, Pooh. Okay? Yes. Yeah, because y'all know I do that too. And speaking of young folks, this question that we put out, this question of the day that we put out earlier, do you still talk to your prom date? And do they look better or worse? Yes, I still talk to my prom date because my prom date is who I still co-parent with to this day. In another language or vernacular, that's my baby daddy. Okay, so we still talk. We still do quite a great job of co-parenting together. And I think time has only done him well. On various levels, just to see him grow as a black man, a black father, a human being, it's definitely only done him well. And for me, I was roughly 9 months pregnant at prom and had a great, just FYI, don't get it twisted, I had a great time. Had to wear a size 22 dress. Couldn't wear actual shoes. I had like these flip-flops, they were a little fancy with it, but these flip-flops that could barely fit my swollen feet. But I was cutting the rugs, honey. I was eating good. Y'all know, pregnant Sarita, you don't even have an idea of what that was like. But so I say all that, or share all that to say that I believe, all these years later, at this point, 15 years later, I look better. I look better than 9 months pregnant. I'm maybe like 3 months at this point with the quarantine. 3 or 4 months with the quarantine. Actually, for me, I can't even say that because I lost weight up until like my 5th or 6th month of being pregnant. So that was like when I got really slim. So this would probably be this is what I was looking like maybe at 5 months. I'm going to start working out again, y'all. Ain't no baby. It ain't no baby in there. It's just food. It's just food and drinks. Kayla Jay muted me. All right, I'm going to shut up. Anyhow, what I'm going to do is welcome our next guest because we're going to touch on something, and we didn't even, powwow before this conversation today, but it is something that I was touching on yesterday. So we're having another family affair, or a family affair, I should say. I'm thinking of another mental health conversation with our girl, Kayla J. We're having a family affair with the one and only Mama Maisha. And when I hit her up and I was like, Mama Maisha, we confirming for today and what you want to talk about, like what we getting into. And she said, Trump stormtroopers around the country, including Philly. How do families and communities prepare? So Mama Maisha, always thankful to be able to have you joining us for Happy Hour. I hope all is well with you, and let's get into it. What's been your perspective on this?
Good evening, Sarita, and the WURD family. Like everyone else, I've been monitoring it. It's just unbelievable to see what's happening in Portland. That Trump has sent those troops in. They're really stormtroopers. They're mercenaries, and they're in there kidnapping people and snatching up people. And he said himself that he's going to send them to other cities, urban cities, AKA where a lot of black folks and black and brown people live. And he mentioned Chicago. He mentioned Philadelphia, and he mentioned that he would be sending troops, these I don't know what we want to call them. They really like fascist stormtroopers. And I know that the FOP, the Fraternal Order of Police, the union, has sent letters requesting Trump to send them here to Philadelphia. Because the police are feeling, that they're not getting the support that they need in this particular city. From the mayor and from the police commissioner, and people are talking about defund the police. So the police are joining up with the other right-wing fascists out there to continue to find ways to suppress people. They're upset that they have more spotlight on them. They just can't abuse that will like they've been doing for years, because everything now is recorded and they're challenged and they're being caught in front of, being dealt with. And they're not accustomed to being held accountable. So they're building their own way to still suppress people. And Philadelphia is on the list. Now, we don't know if it will happen or not. Kenny is saying the same thing like the mayor of Chicago said and the mayor of New York. It was Chicago, New York, and Philadelphia. Those were the three big cities that Trump said he would send this military assistance to suppress all the violence that we're having in our city. And there's no denying that there's a lot of violence in Philly. We read about it every day with the shooting and all that. But more police doesn't suppress violence, because we've always had a heavy police presence. That's always been the case. So that hasn't been a deterrent to the violence. What's a deterrent to the violence is the people in the community that are being victimized the most, organizing to push back on the violence that's going on. And that's what we've been doing for years also, without a lot of support and resources. So my issue is, how do we, if it doesn't happen, it's a good thing. But we know with Trump, anything is likely to happen. And the closer we get to November's election, the wilder he's going to get, because he's losing everywhere. So he has to create these smoke screens, what they call it, wag the door. He said he's a wartime president. So what's the war? Against his own people? Against us? First he was saying it was just a war against the virus. Well, he lost that war. So he's still saying he's a wartime president. So now he's got troops he's sending in to wage war on his own citizens. And so what do we do as people in our community in Philadelphia? How do we prepare for that? Or do we just say we're going to hide and be in denial, thinking that it's not possible?
Got you. So I want to make sure folks understand a little bit about at least what has even been said from some of these parties within the last 24 at this point to maybe 72 hours. So over on whitehouse.gov, you can go there. There is a section that says remarks, and you can see just the record, right, of remarks by President Trump on Operation Legend. Which
That's
is
what it's called, Operation Legend.
Operation Legend, yes, and it's named after a 4-year-old young black boy in Kansas City who was a victim of gun violence, and that in itself is a whole nother story. But there is definitely this intersection that seems to be trying to be painted regarding or of gun violence and the uprising. And so, and I think what I'm about to read is a perfect kind of example or near perfect example of what's happening. And so over there on the website, you can read this for yourself, see it, share it, or, dissect it however you want to do that. But I'm going to read it for you a bit here on air. And so let's see, where's the best place to start with this? We'll go here. In recent weeks, there has been, and I'm quoting, I'm reading this directly from the whitehouse.gov website. In recent weeks, there has been a radical movement to defund, dismantle, and dissolve our police departments. Extreme politicians have joined this anti-police crusade and relentlessly vilified our law enforcement heroes. To look at it from any standpoint, the effort to shut down policing in their own communities has led to a shocking explosion of shootings, killings, murders, and heinous crimes of violence. This bloodshed must end. This bloodshed will end. Today, I'm announcing a surge of federal law enforcement into American communities plagued by violent crime. We'll work every single day to restore public safety, protect our nation's children, and bring violent perpetrators to justice. We've been doing it, and you've been seeing what's happening all around the country. We've just started this process, and frankly, we have no choice but to get involved. So that's just a snippet of what President Trump said, right? On the flip side, here in Philly, from Mayor Kinney, he's quoted as saying this, that the White House seeks to impose federal involvement in this way after months of abrogating its responsibility to lead a federal response to COVID-19 is both ironic and offensive. While the city of Philadelphia has not received any formal notification that federal agents will be sent here, we should use all available means to resist such a wrong-headed effort and abuse of power. Okay, so Mayor Kinney has apparently made it known. He's not with Ish, okay? He's not with this happening. And much to Mama Maisha's point, there has been specific naming.
The mayor of Portland, it was against it too. They're still there. They're still there. They came there clandestinely at night and dressed in, no identification on them, who they are or anything. You just remind you like black ops coming into your community.
It's definitely ops.
Yeah, they're definitely ops. So, but the mayor of Portland did not want them, been trying to get them out of there. They're still there, wrecking mayhem, and they got everybody pushing back in Portland. They got the moms coming out, the middle class moms. They got the dads coming out with the leaf blowers, blowing the tear gas back on the police. This level of resistance, and this is what I want us to think about, because it can happen here. And Portland got caught short, but they pushing back really, really well. So, but we getting pre-notice. We see Portland as a sneak preview of what can happen if he was to send them here in Philly or New York or Chicago. How do we push back? How do we resist? Or do we just hide and be in denial and saying that, I ain't got nothing to do with it, I'm just gonna stay in my house, and if I stay away from it, it's not gonna impact me? Well, yes, it will. Even inside your house, you are impacted. And this is the thing, we have to prepare and start to organize for it now, especially individual families, in terms of, we got this whole way the family's supposed to be taking care of each other during COVID, but how do you take care of yourself which would be police, martial law, and lockdown suppression, and people getting arrested and kidnapped, and you don't know who took them, where they took them. We're not used to that level of suppression, and we need to be prepared how we will deal with it. Do you have a lawyer's name? What lawyer can you attend to? If you were to get snatched up off the street, just getting off the bus on SEPTA and you don't even know something and jumped off, who would your children call? Your children need to know in case of emergencies if people get snatched up. Who do you call? Who do you go to? You have to prepare your contingency plan before it happens. The worst time to plan for an emergency is when the emergency is happening. So what do? You just be coming from work. You don't know you on 52nd Street. You getting ready to try and catch the L, and that's one of the hot spots they decide to send these troops at. And they swoop up everybody in the area. That's how they've been doing in Portland. They just been swooping up activists that had Black Lives Matter stuff on them. It's people coming and going to work and coming and going to the supermarket. They get snatched up and kidnapped also. So what do your family? How do your family prepare for it? If you don't come home when you say you're supposed to come home, you call around trying to find out where you at.
So let's get into that really briefly because we're getting low on time.
Okay.
What are those suggestions that you have for how to properly prepare for something that we are at this point seeing happening, over in Portland. Apparently this has now reached Chicago, and there are eyes set on multiple cities, with Philadelphia being one. What is the best way to try to prepare for this, or to make sure that you're prepared in advance to at least have that emergency plan? You have to assess your who in your family. The vulnerable people in your family would be increasingly vulnerable if you're not around, right? So you have to make plans for them. If you're caring for the elderly, or if you got younger people, if you got snatched up, who's going to step up? And do they know they need to step up? You have to put these kind of things in plan. What lawyers what organizations do you think would help you? You need to know what resources are out there, above ground and underground resources that are out there. These are the kind of things you need to start doing your assessment and pulling these kind of resources together now, because if you do it in times of crisis, everybody is after it, right? So you got to put things in place now. And what lawyer? Everybody, relies on Michael Cord. He's our pro bono lawyer for activists and everything. But Michael Cord, he's been building these other teams of other lawyers because it's a bit much on his plate, too. So Michael's always a good person to turn to, and he's getting other lawyers who are doing pro bono. But you need to know Michael's number. Your children, your family members need to know how to contact Michael Cord. And who's going to get your children? Who's going to contact your job and let your job know that, you disappeared? Because they haven't seen some people in Portland for 3 or 4 days now. They still trying to find some of these people they snatched up off the streets. And these aren't just activists they snatching up. That's what I want people to be aware of. These just ordinary people just got caught up in the wrong place at the wrong time when these stormtrooper mercenaries happened that Trump came in. So we don't know if this is he's going to, he doesn't like it. These all cities, they got Democratic mayors, Philadelphia, Chicago, and New York. And so this is a part of his, and then this is where mostly people of color are who are not going to vote for him. So this is also his form of voter suppression. Because, so this stuff might jump off in October, right before the time to vote, early November, and you're behind, be locked up the day you're supposed to be voting or something. Who knows? Because these people think like this here. And we have to also know they think like that and plan in advance. Who's going to watch your children if you got snatched up? We ain't saying you're in an organization. You're not in Black Lives Matter or Philadelphia Radicals. You're just somebody trying to go to work every day or go to school or go to the supermarket. And you still get scooped up with everybody else. So
what do you have in place? What can you put in place so that your family is not traumatized even more by your absence?
So here's a quick quote, and we got to get ready to wrap this up. But there's a quote, because there's also talk of Operation Legend coming to Cleveland. And so U.S. Representative Marcia Fudge, who represents Ohio's 11th district, which includes Cleveland, released a statement that said, and I'm quoting, "The deployment of militarized agents to Cleveland and cities across the country is unconstitutional and reminds us of the actions of dictators and despots of old. It disregards the right of our cities and states to govern and protect their residents. The president is not trying to protect Americans. Instead, he is attempting to intimidate and silence those who disagree with his policies. These unlawful actions must stop." And that was a statement that it seems was intended to fly right into the face of a statement Trump made earlier, which was that we will, and I'm quoting, "We will never defund the police. We will hire more great police. We want to make law enforcement stronger, not weaker. What cities are doing is absolute insanity." So there's definitely this opposition, this internal warring.
Internal opposition, this warring going on, and we already had a sneak preview of having the presence, because we had the National Guard here when we were doing all of the looting and all that stuff. We already were used to having National Guard in our neighborhood, the uncomfortableness of that. You know, they were staked out in different places in case something jumped off. So we already had a sneak preview of what that could feel like. You know, they were there. They were just a few blocks from us over here on City Avenue, and they were down there on 52nd Street, and they stayed there for quite a few days. The whole uncomfortableness of seeing armed men and armed military in the community. So, you know, we kind of adjusted to that and didn't push back on that a lot. So, you know, they do things in phases to see how, you know, how receptive it is to getting this thing done. So now we go from just the National Guard now to these stormtrooper mercenaries who we don't know who they are, which division of the government. If it's the government, they may be hiring them for the mercenaries that they.
Well, they definitely said
They
definitely said DEA, ATF, FBI. Those are at least three of the divisions that it looks like these unnamed agents will be coming from. And so it definitely is like, you know, the best plan is to have a plan as much as possible, you know, to be able to have some kind of course of action. And Mama Maisha, I think you've given us much to think about in terms of the conversations that we're having with our families. You know, loves to take advantage of technology, you know, so even if that's going into your notes, right, and just creating a list of, you know, this is who you call for XYZ, and having that list of names and numbers and whatever else the case may be. And this is, just to be clear, this is not to incite fear, but to prepare. Right. It's more about preparedness, because at this point, it's not like one of those situations where it's, you know, folks who they say, you know, have conspiracy theories or whatever. Like, we see this happening, right? Like, this is Portland, Cleveland. This is Chicago. You know, I've read a statement from Mayor Lightfoot that, you know, even within her statement, she put in a caveat, you know, saying that as far as I know, basically, you know, this is my understanding of it. And you know, me expressing that when you have to be intentional about putting that into the statement, which, you know, being an elected official, that's probably always the case. But to an extent, like, given the administration, you definitely have to be mindful of that. That's a sign. That's a warning, right? It can't be completely trusted.
The mayors are seeing how disempowered the Portland mayor has been.
Yeah.
The Portland mayor has been disempowered, you know, been trying to push back on it and, you know, and everything, and hasn't been able to get them out of the city yet. So these other mayors, I'm sure they even though they're saying it's not going to happen, they're not going to, you know, look important. You know, it ain't no conspiracy. It's right there on the news every day. You can watch it and see it. And Portland is a majority white city. It's not a lot of blacks in Portland. So you can imagine, they acting wild like that on white people. You can imagine what they do in real inner cities where it's mostly black and brown people. You know? So,
all right. Well, Loves, listen, you know, we're just looking to keep you, you know, as updated as possible on this situation as it unfolds. And I do hope that, you know, we're each doing our parts to keep our eye on this. Again, if you are looking to do your own research, Just Google Operation Legend, 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 and you can learn a bit more about what's happening in this federal rollout around what they are saying is community gun violence, which we're really only seeing happening, it seems, in direct response to the uprising and protests that have been happening. So let's not get this real confused, y'all. Okay? You're listening to Happy Hour on WURD Radio, 96.1 FM, 900 AM. Mama Maisha, thank you so much for joining us today.
Okay.
This message is from the Philadelphia Department of Public Health. COVID-19 is still a threat in our communities, but we can all do something simple to help stop the spread. It's critically important to wear a mask or face covering whenever you're in public or around others. Yes, even while social distancing. Wearing a mask shows you care for yourself and your community and is essential to slowing the spread of COVID-19. So love yourself, love your neighbors, wear a mask.
Warning. If you're drowning in debt you can't afford, do not let the credit card companies trick you into thinking that you have to pay it all back, because you don't. What the credit card companies don't want you to know is that there's actually a way to get debt-free without paying off your entire debt or going bankrupt. If you have $10,000 or more in credit card debt, you have the right to let us settle that debt for a fraction of what you owe. For free information, call Credit Associates now. 1-800-965-5269. We'll even show you how much money you could save. If you can't afford to pay off all your debt, do not let the credit card companies trick you into thinking that you have to. Call Credit Associates for free information on how to get debt-free faster than you ever thought possible, without debt consolidation or bankruptcy. We depend on your success and offer a guarantee, so there's no risk to call. For free information, call now. 1-800-965-5269. That's 1-800-965-5269. 1-800-965-5269.
No fear, just facts. WURD.
It's Happy Hour
With Sincerely Sarita.
right now
On Word Radio.
and WordRadio.com.
Grab your mic. It's time for Kayla J's Karaoke Song of the Day.
Watch this. These are my confessions. Just when I thought I said all I can say, my chick on the side says she got one on the way. These are my confessions. Man, I'm thrown and I don't know what to do. I guess I gotta give you part two of my confessions. If I'm gonna tell it, then I gotta tell it all. Damn, they cried when I got that phone call. I'm so dumb, I don't know what to do but to give you part two of my confessions. Now, this gonna be the hardest thing I think I ever had to do. Got me talking to myself, asking how I'm gonna tell you about that chick on part one I told y'all I was creeping with. Say she's 3 months pregnant and she's keeping it. The first thing that came to mind was you. Second thing was, how do I know if it's mine and is it true? Third thing was me wishing that I never did what I did. How I ain't ready for no kid and bye-bye to a relationship. These are my confessions. Just when I thought I said all I could say, my chick on the side said she got one. These are my confessions. Man, I'm thrown and I don't know what to do now. I guess I gotta give part two of my confessions. If I'm gonna tell it, then I gotta tell it all. Damn, they cried when I got that phone call. I'm so I don't know what to do but to give you part two of my confessions. Feeling stuck on stupid, trying to figure out when, what, and how I'ma let this come out of my mouth. Said it ain't gonna be easy, but I need to stop thinking, contemplating, be a man and get it over with. I'm riding in my whip, racing to her place, talking to myself, preparing to tell her to her face. She opened up the door and didn't want to come near me. I said, one second, baby, please hear me. These are my confessions. Just when I thought I said all I can say, my chick on the side said she got one on the way. These are my confessions. Man, so gone, what to do? Guess I gotta give you part two of my confessions. If I'm gonna tell it, then I gotta tell it all. Damn, they cried when I got that phone call. When I got it, so didn't know what to do.
this by far is the hardest thing I think I've ever had to do. To tell you, the woman I love, that I'm having a baby by a woman that I barely even know. I hope you can accept the fact that I'm man enough to tell you this. And hopefully you'll give me another chance. This ain't about my career. This ain't about my life. It's about us.
These are my
Please.
confessions. Just when I thought I said all I can say, my chick on the side said she got one on the way. These are my confessions. Man, I'm thrown and I don't know what to do. I guess I gotta give part 2 of my confessions. If I'm gonna tell it, then I gotta tell it all. Damn, they cried when I got that phone call.
You are back listening to Happy Hour on WURD Radio, 96.1 FM, 900 AM. I'm your host, sincerely, Sarita. And we're switching gears a bit. It's time to welcome our next guest, who he's been waiting patiently. Shout out to Tyler Byram, Associate Sports Editor for NBC Sports Washington, checking in with a sports report. Tyler, how are you doing? What's been going on? Yeah, there's clearly a lot going on in the world, but how are you?
I'm doing well. Yeah, it's been too long. It seems like it's been months since we talked, because there's just been so much happening, not only in the real world, but in the sports world, especially as these leagues move forward to have a season and just all the complications that have come with it. And I'm sure for everyone else, it's been a wild couple of weeks.
Yeah. So let's jump right in. I mean, what's currently on your radar in the world of sports? Because we've had a lot of developments happening in pretty much every league, organization, whether it's a result of the Black Lives Matter movement, of COVID-19, and trying to navigate that. Like, it's just there's so much that I think like folks have to keep up on, and it's definitely impossible to keep up with it all. But that's why we're thankful to have someone like you, who has made this their job to stay on top of. So what's on one of the things that are on like your top 3 things, like top 3 happenings in sports?
Well, I guess kind of the first one that I'm just thinking of, because it's literally a developing story that's happening right now, is how we have Major League Baseball's opening day starts in an hour and a half, and then a player for the Nationals who are set to be the first team to play tested positive for the virus, and he has been interacting with his team up until he got the result back. So we're going to learn a lot of things the next couple moments, hours, and days on how this develops and progresses forward. It's Juan Soto, who is a MVP candidate, was one of the best players in the league last year, and expecting to help the Nationals defend their title, but he tested positive, and this result came after his test on Tuesday, and he practiced with his team on Tuesday, he practiced with the team on Wednesday, he just got the result back today.
Wow.
So what is the process for Major League Baseball? I know they said they're going to have contact tracing. Players are already supposed to be socially distancing, wearing masks when they aren't playing or working out. So hopefully there's nothing else that comes out of it. But, I mean, they're set to play in an hour and a half, and a player just tests positive. He's not playing, but are there other players that tested positive? Will they give it to the Yankees, which then could maybe send to another team that they play the next Tuesday? Like, how does this spiral out, and what impact will this have on the season going forward? And if we can have baseball currently in this ideation that has been created of players and teams playing and living in their home markets, as opposed to all the other leagues that are going to a bubble style approach, and they're just basically sectioning themselves off of the world, which for the most part has been pretty good.
Yeah. And I believe the Phillies, I'm trying to think if they just played the Yankees in spring training. On the 20th, July 20th, I think, that they did, and are set to play them again on the 27th. And so for those who are listening from Philly, this is part of the concern when it comes to COVID-19 and how to navigate this whole situation, at the Major League Sports level is, what is the value that we put on players' health and how we navigate that. Tyler, as far as you can see, I mean, what does the league's response seem to be for players who are diagnosed with COVID-19?
Well, in terms of that, they've created a special section of the it's not the disabled list anymore, it's the injury list. So, and they can't announce those results due to HIPAA. Yeah. Regulations. So they can't say anything, although you know that if it's a big player like Juan Soto or MVP type player and they aren't playing that day, you know something's up, and they just magically appear on the list, so it didn't know if they had like an ankle injury and whatnot. But I think the biggest thing is that Major League Baseball is testing every other day, and I think that's part of the problem that we have, and that's part of the reason why there's just so much unknown, because it was like if they had rapid testing like the NBA does, like the MLS did, and that they can get tested, get the result, and then if they're negative, they can go and interact with everybody and go about their normal pregame and practice routine. But they're waiting days, so it's whoever he has interacted with since Tuesday and potentially before then as well. I see this as an issue because this is the first game. Imagine if there was a game yesterday,
right?
And say, like you said, say the Nationals played the Phillies yesterday, and then he was positive and playing, and maybe have interacted with some Phillies, and now he's playing the Yankees, and then whoever the Phillies are also playing, so it just could just spiral out of control until there's a massive outbreak within Major League Baseball. And I mean, that's what people feared with Rudy Gobert when he tested positive back in March. Fortunately, not much came from that. But that's also something, if we're trying to spin it forward and look at other leagues, this is what the NFL also plans on doing. They announced their COVID-19 testing protocols is they're going to test every single day, and then once the positivity rate within the NFL or within a certain team is below 5%, they're going to switch to every other day. And in baseball, it is very easy to go about practice, to go about working out and socially distance and not really interact with your teammates. I mean, you could go through an entire day and not get within 6 feet of somebody, and no one will really know or care except for maybe the catcher and the batter. But if one of them's wearing a mask, I mean, you can work around it. There's less risk there. But in the NFL, I mean, these guys are tackling each other. They're practicing like face-to-face with other people. You can't have that interaction in the NFL. And every other day testing, and it just doesn't seem to be the right answer in that context.
And so one of the things that you mentioned was that in these other major league sports, they're testing daily, but, you know, with Major League Baseball, they're not. Does that seem to be, at least as far as you know or can see, a matter of money, or just what seems like most reasonable for the situation, given that social distancing is a bit more doable with that sport?
I think it's a little bit of a mix of both. So when we talk about these teams that are going into the bubble, I mean, soccer, both men's and women's basketball, I mean, you're talking about rosters that are condensed, less than 20 players typically, and that is, in addition to them being within a bubble, their seasons are very condensed. So, like WNBA, they're only going to have a season for 2.5 months. They're starting this month, and they're going to end in the end of September. Baseball is starting now, and they're planning on going till November. And they really started at the beginning of July because that's when they started training and working out and getting everyone back into the building. So I think it was kind of a cost-saving measure because these tests aren't cheap, and also how they want to kind of get the turnaround relatively soon. So they're trying to save money and not do it every day. And for the Nationals, I mean, they have 30-plus people in every single day to their facility. I mean, if you test those every single day, I mean, that quickly adds up as compared to an NBA team, which has 13 people on the roster, and you're testing them every day, and then you're done within a couple weeks. I mean, in the NBA, they're going to lose 4 teams within the first 2 weeks of the season actually happening. So they're trying to cut down, and they're going to start saving money that way. For baseball, all 30 teams, 30-plus players on every single team getting tested every single day. It's of course, we're talking about billion-dollar sports companies and billion-dollar leagues that can take this hit. But they're trying to find ways that they can. And I mean, think in baseball's case, where they think, oh, it's already a natural game that you can socially distance and not interact, and as long as the players are being smart, you should be okay. But I mean, all it takes is for one guy to not adhere to those policies, and then there could be a significant problem on their hands.
Are we seeing any kind of conversations that are happening across leagues, right? So whether it's Major League Baseball, the NBA, NFL, NHL, like, do we see any kind of consulting that's happening, or just, touching base to see how folks are navigating this and all choosing to kind of roll out this, whatever next steps that they want to take with their teams amid COVID-19?
I don't know the specifics, but I do know, and it has been reported by numerous reporters in the field, that these leagues are definitely getting feedback from one another and seeing what works. There are a lot of leagues that looked at the sports that came back first: Bundesliga in Germany, NASCAR, PGA Tour, the NWSL, which was the first team sport to get back together and have to go through these protocols. Because with PGA Tour and NASCAR, you can do your own thing. Those are the sports you can definitely social distance in terms of like the top tier athletes. There are other people that you might have to worry about, but in terms of the faces of the league, that's fine. They definitely have looked at what other people have done. And they're all kind of helping each other out because as we've talked about weeks before, this is an unprecedented situation. People are having to make decisions that at the time they feel right, and they don't know if that's going to be the right answer. And quite frankly, they don't know what's going to be the right decision. The Major League Baseball didn't have a positive COVID test the entire season. Testing every other day would be a good decision because you then cut your COVID testing budget in half. Now that you had someone test positive, it's not the right decision. So
you got to adjust.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. So let me check on what Kayla J. We're going to take a break. All right. So we're going to take a little break. But when we come back on the other side, definitely want to know what's kind of second up on your list. I know Kayla J. wants to talk a little bit about what's happening on the swimming happening in the Olympics at the Olympic level. And then also, one of the things I saw recently is, the statement jerseys that will be featuring Michael Jordan's likeness, and Nike announcing that all 30 teams, including the Washington Wizards, will wear a jersey that features the Jumpman logo. And then, this kind of tied to, the movement that we're seeing happening in the nation. And so, Loves, stay tuned. If you have any thoughts, you want to contribute to the conversation, please do. 215-634-8065. That is the hotline number. Again, 215-634-8065. Toll free, 866-361-0900. Is it time for sports to reopen? Do you have any concerns about the health of athletes when it comes to COVID-19? Or are you just trying to get back into the stands, into the stadiums, into the arenas for the sports that you know and love? Call in, let us know. You're listening to Happy Hour on WURD Radio, 96.1 FM, 900 AM. We'll be back after these messages.
Do you need health insurance for your children? The Children's Health Insurance Program, also known as CHIP, provides quality, affordable health insurance for Pennsylvania kids. CHIP ensures that kids can go to the doctor, receive health screenings and vaccines, and get what they need to live a healthy childhood. Families can be covered by CHIP no matter how much money they make. If you've experienced a recent change in employment or income, CHIP may be a good option for your family. Visit chipcoverspakids.com to apply or learn more.
Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
Need a new mattress? Stop by to see Julian, the mattress man, located at 7421 Stenton Avenue. You deal directly with the owner, Julian, to ensure the best prices on name brand mattresses like Sealy, Posturepedic. Call 215-424-5550. That's 215-424-5550.
Be heard. Want another way to join the conversation? Follow us on social media using the hashtag onWURD. Be heard. Stay connected to Word Radio. Independent Black Media.
These are unprecedented times. Challenging how the YMCA works to strengthen community as we have for nearly 170 years. But we've always found ways to help people and communities in times of crisis. Right now, Ys across the country are providing emergency childcare, shelter, food programs, and outreach to seniors. But we can't do it alone. Whether you're connected to the Y or have a fond Y memory, we need you to stay with us. Reach out to your local Y today and stay with us for a better us.
It's Happy Hour with Sincerely Sarita right now on Word Radio and WordRadio.com.
And we're back with the Sports Report. Shout out to Tyler Byram, who is joining us, to let us know some of the top need to knows on his radar. So we just talked a bit about the MLB, about how COVID-19 is impacting their return, even with a player being recently diagnosed with COVID-19. So Tyler, what else is on your radar at this point?
Obviously a big one, especially because I'm from DC, but I think it's a bigger national story as well. The Washington football team announcing they're going to change their name and get rid of the term Redskins.
Yeah.
And moving forward with that process, they just announced today that for the time being, until they identify what the new moniker is going to be, they're going to just be known as the Washington football team, which in some eyes is kind of funny because that's what a lot of media members have referred to them as the past couple of years, but a little digressing there. But I think that's a virtue of the activism and the movement that we're seeing right now. Is it was something that they said that has been working in conversations over the past several months, that this wasn't just a result of the nationwide protest and the unrest for racial injustice in the country, but at the same time, we really didn't see anything happening until we saw sponsors starting to push back, minority owners saying that they want the name changed. So where we're at basically right now is they aren't known as the Redskins anymore. They'll be known as the Washington football team. I anticipate, I'm not sure if it's entirely confirmed, but through other reports that I've seen, they will be known as the Washington football team for the 2020 season. So we probably won't have a new name until next season. And I think that makes sense. They can't rush out a new name relatively quickly. There are a lot of systems and processes and legal stuff that they have to go through.
Yeah.
But that's probably right now, it was my number one until about 2 hours ago, and this Major League Baseball Juan Soto testing positive thing happened.
Yeah. So the Washington football team, that's what we'll be referring to them, or at least now pretty much everybody will be referring to them as, in the midst of this transition. Given that, you are based in Washington and this is your beat, this is what you do. I mean, what's the feedback that you're getting from fans about this, or that you're seeing from fans about this new change?
There's a lot of different opinions on it, as I'm sure many people can imagine. I think there's kind of two main prevailing voices, at least from the fan base. And I think what makes the fan base the most upset is they feel like this voice to change the name came from non-Washington football fans. Mm-hmm. But at least amongst the fan base, it's kind of, I'd say, split in half. Of there's the fans that feel like this was inevitable, this was going to happen, so I'm okay with it. Let's just make sure we have a good name. Let's not get a stupid name in there to replace the team that they've known to grow up and love. And then there's, of course, the other half of the fan base that doesn't like it. They'll always be known as the Redskins to them, and some fans even going as far as saying, like, oh, I'm not going to be a fan of this team or the league anymore. Mm-hmm. Similar to what we saw when the players started kneeling a couple of years ago in terms of that type of action that fans want to take. But I'd say, at least from the fan base, of course, I don't want to generalize everyone into those two categories because it's probably one of the worst things you can do. But I'd say those are the two main voices that you hear and see, at least from the reaction of our stories that we've been putting out at NBC Sports Washington.
Got you. Quick question. Have you had a chance to check out the documentary on Netflix about Michael Jordan? I haven't fully watched it yet, but it's like that's what I'm next up. I started it and then I was like, oh, babe's probably gonna want to watch this with me. I probably shouldn't watch it yet. But have you had a chance to check it out yet?
Is this the ESPN documentary? I know they have some of their stuff. Okay, yes, I saw that when it went live, the Last Dance one. That was probably one of the best ESPN docs I've seen behind O.J. Simpson. I think O.J. Simpson doc is a couple steps ahead, and then you have this one probably at a solid number 2 from at least the ones that I've watched. But yeah, it was good, at least for me, someone that I didn't exactly have the waking memory of what the MJ era was like, and I kind of like got the tail. what I knew of MJ, at least from what I haven't read and seen, was him with the Wizards, which I know there was a bigger chapter of him with the Bulls, of course, his entire career, basically.
And his
But-
time with the Wizards wasn't really covered at all in The Last Dance. So that was interesting. I mean, Jordan, it's been coming up in recent news. He's been coming up. The name has been coming up. The brand has been coming up in recent news. Not only because of the logo, but also not only because of the documentary, but also because of the Jumpman logo that will now be on uniforms now. And seeing folks react to that, and how Kayla J is clapping her hands right now. So I'm guessing you want to hop in. I'm guessing you feel good about that.
Everybody know me. I'm not a big sports person, but I love me some Michael Jordan, and I am an MJ fan. I remember only going to games just to see Michael Jordan. While my mom had on a Sixers jersey, I had on a Bulls jersey because I love me some MJ.
Okay.
So I'm excited to see his logo on all of them.
Yeah.
I might watch just beyond to see how cute the players are.
It's going to be on the statement edition uniforms for the 2021 campaign.
It's there.
I
will buy one.
All 30 NBA teams are going to wear this, if not the most iconic logo in sports apparel. Tyler, have you been hearing any buzz about this? I mean, from fans of any of the teams at this point?
I haven't heard much of the reaction from it.
Okay.
But I do think it's a move that definitely shows Nike and to an extent the NBA's commitment to kind of pushing forward the black voice in the black community, because MJ is at least in terms of the modern NBA, their biggest figure, as Kayla just alluded to. I mean, he's a guy that transcended not only basketball, not only sports, but he transcended the entire world, and how he was perceived and how everyone wanted to just see MJ. And even if you weren't a basketball fan, you wanted to be like Mike. There were people that have Jordans, and when I say Jordans, I mean the Jordan shoe, that could care less about basketball, but he became a phenomenon. He became a stylistic choice in your outfit and what you wear every single day. So I think it's them showing commitment to him, and of course, I mean, it's part of the Nike brand, so it's not that hard of a change to make. Right. And you say it's also in the statement jerseys, so it won't be something that you see every game, but in specific opportunities it will exist. And of course it creates cool jerseys. But yeah, I mean, it's good for them. It makes perfect sense. From my perspective, I don't see why people would be upset with it.
Smell like money.
I mean, you never know. Yeah, exactly.
That's all I'm going to say. Smell like money.
It's another opportunity for them to make money.
Yeah, because all 30 teams, what? Because he already had it on the Charlottes on their uniforms because he owns them. But now you expand into all 30 money, period.
Yep.
I'm just saying, like, smells like money. But yeah, so we're getting ready to get out of here. But we were talking a bit earlier about COVID-19 and, teams trying to navigate this. And one of the things that Kayla J spoke to was, just specifically with like swimming, right? Like even with all of the sports, which are majority that are contact, right? Outside of maybe like Major League Baseball. And even that, has contact at points in time, but overall it's probably a little more easier to social distance, just because I think that sport in itself is kind of socially distanced. That's not the case with a lot of other sports. And none of those sports are taking place in a habitat where your bodily fluids are like legit just all in the mist, like you're swimming through it at any given. Some of y'all know y'all don't even like going to public pools because people peeing in them. Right?
I'm gonna be honest. I competitively swam for some years, and it's a thing. When you finish your race, you spit back into the water because you swallowed so much of the water while you're swimming and breathing. It's just a habit to just
somebody swallowing the Rona.
Yeah, so.
I'm just saying,
like I know I've been to meets and it's a pool over at Germantown Academy that I had a lot of my races at, and me and my teammates used to say, "Yo, this pool tastes like old people." Like It was just salty.
That would have been a day I
warm,
stopped swimming.
You know,
I can't.
So like, I'm really concerned for USA Swimming and just swimming in general. You know, when it comes to diving, the synchronized swimming, water polo, and then the sprint races, the long distance races. Tyler, have you heard anything on that front? Because that is one of the biggest Olympic sports. With the Olympics being pushed back to 2021, we kind of had some time to figure it out, but 2020 almost over.
We don't even know if chlorine killed a
I about to
woman.
say, and I doubt if Ryan Lochte and the rest of them have been at USA headquarters training in the pool.
Yeah, you know, Kayla, with me knowing your love of swimming, and once you told me about this, I knew I had to do as much research as possible to get you a solid answer, because I know how much swimming means to you. From what the CDC has said, they have not found any evidence of coronavirus being transmitted through the pool. And like you said, with swimming, you can social distance. You don't have to interact with other individuals. I think, and again, with this being pushed back to 2021 in terms of the Olympics, this does kind of change things because they have the time.
Yeah.
There's hopefully going to be a vaccine. Hopefully testing will be more rigorous, and they'll be able to create a bubble atmosphere where no one on the outside can get in and risk infecting these athletes. But if, in terms of changes, I think you might see it's an every other lane situation just to be safe.
Yeah.
And maybe not have the relay races at the same time, because that's a little bit difficult to be able to kind of sanitize everything and be able to make sure that as they're getting on the board to jump in or touching on the walls, the minor things that they are touching, and maybe there's a chance that it can be transmitted in the water, and the CDC just hasn't seen it yet, because they didn't say definitively that A, either chlorine kills the virus, or B, that it's impossible to transmit through the water. They just said they haven't seen any evidence of it. It's kind of like they haven't seen any evidence yet of people who tested positive for coronavirus getting it again, because it hasn't happened yet. So they aren't going out there to say. But like I said, every other lane, just to kind of spread people out, maybe limiting relay races. And who knows, maybe you can relax the social distancing measures a little bit. If there's a vaccine, if there's more testing, you can create a strong bubble. Because even in these bubbles of the NBA, WNBA, and MLS, these players are still wearing masks. They're still supposed to be socially distancing. There's still things that are supposed to be sanitized that are touched every single day.
Gotcha.
So just because that you're being tested every day and you don't think someone can slip in, I mean, there's always these false negatives, false positives. It's nearly impossible to create like a rigid bubble that nothing gets in or out. It's impermeable a little bit.
Yeah.
So I think swimming will happen. The Olympics, I believe, will happen in some shape or form next year. I don't think they're going to
like a full
cancel it entirely. As we were talking about earlier, there's so much money invested in the Olympics now, and if they were to cancel it, I mean, they can't push it back to 2022 because that's when the Winter Olympics are. But there may be a condensed version, maybe fewer athletes going in, maybe some sports just simply don't take place. A lot unknown right now, but right now they are just kind of trying to go through the proper procedures and figure out what they can do next year. And again, I think have their fingers crossed there's going to be a vaccine and that the worst of this will be over and there'll be somewhat a semi-normal life by the Olympics next year.
I think that's what we're all hoping for. We're all crossing our fingers, praying, doing what we got to do, burning sage, just like trying to figure out how soon we can get not only get the vaccine, but also, just navigate what the next chapter looks like for where we go from here, sports or otherwise. But Tyler Byram, appreciate you so much for joining us. Let folks know really quickly where they can catch you at over on social media.
Yeah, I'm pretty active on Twitter at the Tyler Byram. WNBA season kicks off on Saturday, so a lot of that going on right now for me, and then of course opening day tonight as well, so there'll be a lot of tweets as well. Go Yankees, by the way.
Woo.
Oh, you traitor.
All right, we're gonna hang up on, I don't want to say hang up on him, but we're gonna disconnect because this is Pennsylvania, this is Philly, so the Phillies.
Go Nets.
And also I'm from Pittsburgh, so Pirates. And yeah, no, Tyler, smackdown. You're listening to Happy Hour on WURD Radio, 96.1 FM, 900 AM. Shout out to Tyler Byram, Associate Sports Editor for NBC Sports Washington, checking in with us for a sports report. I'm your host, host, Sincerely Sarita. When we come back on the other side, Ernest Owens of Philly Mag will be joining us to discuss what's happening at Fox 29 as well as his appearance over on the BBC. Stay tuned.
If you want to start your morning with mindfulness, motivation, and inspiration, tune in to Daybreak with me, Helana, here on WURD Radio, Monday through Friday from 6 to 7 a.m. I'm a health and wellness coach with over 15 years experience helping people to transform their lives. On the show, we talk health and wellness 360, from getting your mind right to getting your money right. So let's rise and shine together right here on WURDradio.com, 96.1 FM, 900 on your AM dial on Daybreak every morning.
Tune in Saturdays from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. to hear Empire Capital and Consulting founder Mark Palmer's show titled Black Money, Black Power. This show centers around black money and how black power is derived from money. Tune in every Saturday from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Black Money, Black Power. Hosted by Mark Palmer.
I ain't no better than you, and you ain't no better than me. But we all have something in common. We all are species, seeds of God's creation.
Tune in to Messages in the Music every Friday night with Joey T, midnight to 6 a.m. right here on WURD.
I would like to play a little tune I just composed not so long ago.
Hey family, do you like hearing the best jazz selections aired by 3 of the best jazz announcers in Philadelphia? Well, tune in to 96.1 FM,
96.1 FM,
and 900 AM, WURD Radio, independent black media for Freedom Sounds of Jazz.
Freedom Sounds of Jazz.
Hear Freedom Sounds of Jazz 10 p.m. Fridays with your hosts in rotation, Aquila, Jonathan Bay, and David Fritz. That's 10 p.m. Friday nights on WURD 96.1 FM and 900 AM, independent black media.
This is not a fad for us. We will not resume our regular programming when things die down. We're not black to help our bottom line or because it's politically correct. We're not joining a fight. This has been our fight, our message, our people. Black lives have always mattered here. We are undeniably, indefatigably, unapologetically, permanently Black Talk Media. WURD. Lifting every voice till earth and heaven ring. This is Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Black Talk Media.
1, 2, 3, My baby don't mess around because she loves me so, and this I know for sure. But does she really wanna, but can't stand to see me walk out the door? Don't try to fight the feeling, 'cause the thought alone is killing me right now.
You're back listening to Happy Hour on WURD Radio 96.1 FM, 900 AM. I'm your host, sincerely, Sarita, and it is time to welcome my final guest of the evening, Ernest Owens, who is a writer at large for Philadelphia Magazine, joining us to give some updates on this developing story that he has been covering regarding Fox 29. And the allegations that the station's newsroom is, quote unquote, being run by toxic, super white, and Trump apologizing management. So, Ernest, thank you once again for joining us for Happy Hour. I hope all is well with you, especially coming off of your appearance on BBC. So, before we get to this Fox 29 piece and just the coverage that you've been doing on that, and tell us a bit about, the BBC appearance, what it focused on, and what folks need to know at bare minimum is the takeaway for what you covered in that interview.
I just want to say quickly, I feel older now. When I was listening to the song that came on, hey, yeah, I took a step back and I was just like, I said, oh, they don't make them like that anymore. And I didn't realize that song came out in 2003.
Yeah, yeah, we getting up there. We getting up there a little bit.
Yeah, they're not.
And I know because I think you're younger than me.
Yeah, I was born in '91.
Oh yeah. I'm 88. And then I know some of y'all. Yes, I hear some of y'all. They're like, oh no, y'all all babies. Yes, we know.
No, they don't make it like that anymore. I mean, hey, I was a song.
I mean, 3000 is a classic in himself, but
I don't make it anymore.
Yeah, Outkast.
I was just listening to music. I was like, what is this? This is anything of substance. Even the songs that were supposed to be not of substance still had quality to them.
Because the production, I think, at bare
nice
minimum.
Quality to the song. The songs he did had quality production. This stuff just sounds all over the place.
You said Young Jock. Did you say Young Jock?
Yes.
Oh, honey, that's a real throwback Thursday. I wasn't expecting you to say Young Jock. I was like, wait a minute, Young Jock. But production-wise, no, I definitely think like production was at a whole another level back then. I mean, I think there's been growth, but I can see what you're saying on that end. But speaking of production and growth, BBC.
Yeah.
What's up?
Yeah, it was great. It was a great interview. I had to get up extra early in the morning, so the sunlight wasn't, out, and that interview was done at 5:30 a.m.
Well, you better get used to it.
Yeah, it's just the whole, getting up and getting, energized.
Mm-hmm.
But it was 8:30 their time.
Right.
So that was the difference. But the interview was good. I really liked it. I like what I said. I took some time to think about what I wanted to say because of the situation. We were talking about Kanye West and about the stuff that was going on with him. And some of the major highlights that I emphasized on that show, in that episode quickly, was that, for one thing is that, I want to be very clear that mental health is a serious thing. And one of the things that concerned me about how they were discussing it in the media is that there always typically is this thing where every time, Kanye does very offensive things, he has said a lot of misogynistic things, a lot of things that are like, towards black women, a lot of things that are rooted in white supremacy. This man, continues to derail and deny slavery and disrespect our ancestors, especially during a time where we're losing a lot of civil rights figures. We've lost 3 black civil rights figures in the past week. They death something 3. C.C. Vivian, John Lewis, and then we lost Charles Megger. And this happened within less than 7 days. All of these men, of course, lived long lives, and 2 of them were in their 90s, and John Lewis was 80. But still, we lost these individuals at a time where there is a lot of racial uprising and conversations about Black Lives Matter. There's a pandemic going on. And this, Kanye West wants to talk about, once again, trying to deny the labor of a black woman such as Harriet Tubman. And this is happening in a very politically polarizing climate. He's running, I guess as a Republican, I believe, and not getting on any ballots as of right now, but just the fact that this is all happening. And so, of course, everyone's like, oh, it's his mental health, leave him alone. And I want to be clear that my study and my research is that, schizophrenia or bipolar behavior, any type of mental illness, does not make a person become racist or support white supremacy, doesn't make a person a misogynist. It doesn't make a person, disrespect, history in this type of way. So I want to be clear that these things can all be true. He can be impacted by mental illness problems. That's very legitimate. At the same time, it can also be true that he is supporting very anti-Black rhetoric and sentiment, and he's also disrespectful to women. Those three things can all be true. And what we cannot do is conflate mental illness with the type of problematic behavior that he's doing and really, not hold a level of accountability. And so when speaking about this, I wanted to be clear that people understood that, but I also wanted to just talk about the fact that there is a lot of back and forth going on with his supporters and those in his family because, Kim Kardashian, his wife, comes out and says, he has these problems and we should all empathize and, Kanye doesn't mean the things he's saying, this and the third. But then a week ago, knowing all that she knows about him behind closed doors, she was enabling and supporting his behavior, by him running for office. And so if you know that you have a family member that has these types of deep problems, why would you enable behavior that can trigger and further put them out in this type of public attention? And so I feel like there's a lot of people connected to him exploiting a lot of his problems and also instigating and magnifying them. Chance the Rapper promoted a lot of the stuff that Kanye was doing, even though if these are his close friends and recognize that he's have a problem right now, why would somebody who's dealing with their mental health be fit to serve the presidency? I mean, you see what's going on right now in our current White House. We don't need a repeat of that. And in closing, the other important thing that I wanted to note is that there tends to be a pattern with Kanye's behavior. And I'm not trying to say there's necessarily a causation, but I do want to talk about a correlation. That every time he's selling something, that's when we see these antics rise. So he's got a new album coming out tomorrow, and so does Taylor Swift. And it seems like every time he's about to sell something, drop an album, or have a big old publicity tour, there typically are these episodes and publicity stunts that typically go alongside of these things. And so one thing that he's achieved is that he's been able to let everybody know that he is out there, he's relevant, and now his album is going to sell pretty well. And I think that's very disappointing, but I also think it's something we as consumers need to be thinking about when we hear this stuff.
Got you. And definitely appreciate you kind of running those points down because we had a conversation here on WURD on Talent Tuesday where, we like to talk arts and entertainment, and that was one of the topics that we discussed. And so I think, we definitely have space within our community to like really figure out, or explore, the things that impact us on a day-to-day basis, but also those members of our community and how they are impacting or shaping either the perception of our community or the reality that we live every day, and what the future looks like for us. So appreciate that. Before we get into the next topic, which is what's going on over at Fox 29, I want to kind of give a moment for a breather with this question of the day that I put out to folks. And y'all, I noticed y'all ain't been calling in to chime in on this one, but folks they've been chiming in on the gram, on the book or whatever. My question to you, right? Do you still talk to your prom date, and do they look better or worse?
Do I still what?
Talk to your prom date, like keep in touch with your prom date.
I keep in touch with her on social media. She still looks good. I would say that she still looks good. We both still look good, actually.
Okay.
She has a guy she's talking to. I have a ring, though. I'll say that. But I think that they're doing good.
What?
I think our man looks better than our man.
Oh my gosh. You gotta leave it to Ernest to take it somewhere it ain't never have to go.
That's why people don't want to ask that question. So the answer, all of these things to be sure was, we both look good. I'm engaged. We keep up on Instagram. And I would say that my fiance looks better than her boyfriend.
Oh gosh, the shade. I can't.
And that's the answer to your question.
All right.
Is that good?
I'm not gonna say whether it's good or bad. I'm just saying you answered. I didn't expect, and you know what? I should have known better. I should have known better when I asked. You was gonna take it somewhere. He said, "My fiance look better than hers."
Listen,
you can't.
That's probably why some people are not answering that question, because there's a lot of it's layers to that. You know, that's how
there are layers.
That was 10 years ago, actually. That was 10 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, I graduated in 2010, so a lot can change in 10 years.
Ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so now let's switch gears a bit because apparently there are changes that don't seem to be happening at Fox 29 that at least it seems like, based on the reporting that you've been doing for Philly Mag, at least like 10 plus current former employees for Fox 29 Philly have been saying, or at least seeking to have happen. So for folks who may just be coming into this story, not real familiar with what's going on, let's give them a quick primer on it, and then let's talk about the updates.
Yeah, so this all started ago with a man named Ken Rothweiler, and if people have been following the show, we've talked a little bit about him, but he was basically a white legal analyst that worked at Fox 29 for like 11 years, and basically said that he got fired by the news director allegedly because they were saying that he was pro-Black Lives Matter and anti-cop in his analysis and Facebook posts, and so they fired him as the legal analyst, which was a little small, minor pay position. Since that story came out, which came out like last week, other people at at Fox 29 reached out to the publication, reached out to me, and was like, listen, what happened to this Ken Rothweiler guy, you know, that is not just him. Like, there's a lot of issues over at the station, and we got receipts. We not only just talked about the experiences, but we got receipts. And so there were people that told us stories about what's happened to on-air talent there, Black talent there, situations where people, you know, one of the former on-air people called somebody the N-word and quickly left the station. Well, not called them N-word, used the N-word repeatedly in the station in an incident that happened with this Black on-air anchor. The person who said it was a white person who was on-air talent, that person no longer was working at Fox 29. And there was the issue that happened in that situation. It was an issue where they were going in, and we put the receipts in the story, so I feel comfortable detailing this. Basically, the news director, who has been accused of a lot of things, was changing out context that was on Facebook posts about Trump, which basically was which was arguably lightening down the critique or anything that he did that was considered wrong, to the point where even words like tweets that Trump made that many outlets would consider racist, he wouldn't call them racist. He would call them incendiary, and he would take out certain things that would be pertaining to race or racism out of headlines. And so pretty much people considered the newsroom to be very very far right and white. And there's a lack of diversity in their upper management that has made a lot of Black and brown and their white allies at the news station uncomfortable with a lot of the stuff that's going on currently. And it was, I talked to a lot of people. I talked to a lot of people on the record, off the record. I just got a lot of receipts and emails. It's a lot going on over there. And when you're seeing some of the stuff that's happened, they talked about, Chanel Jones, and apparently, allegedly, someone who was working there critiqued her on how proud she sounded when she would say Obama's name on air. Which I don't know if that's part of the reason why she left the station, but there's been a lot of conversations about the way that people are treated there. And it was an interesting story, and a lot of things have been coming out since then.
Yeah. So one thing I want to make sure is shared, at least as far as this conversation is concerned. And this is our second time talking about this, and through your reporting, I've been learning more about what's happening there. But I want to make sure I share. I've appeared on Fox multiple times as a guest during my time writing as a contributor for PhillyVoice.com. And shout out to Philly Voice for the platform that they offered me, right, to be able to give my unique perspective as a Black journalist, as a woman, a mother, and a Philadelphian, right? And it was through some of the pieces that I wrote for PhillyVoice.com that I was able to appear on Fox 29 because they saw those pieces and the traction that it had garnered, and invited me to come on to Good Day Philadelphia to talk about them and bring them to the broadcasted airwaves. In my own experience, it's never necessarily been one that was negative or ill received. I know there was one appearance where I was on and sharing about my journey as a teen mother, and one of the hosts asked a question which I thought was I expected already because it wasn't the first time, but just about so this conversation that your mom had with you about safe sex and all these other things, like it didn't work because I got pregnant at 16 and had my daughter at 17. And I responded and gave insight and context to that which was needed. But even that for me wasn't necessarily a negative experience. So I can't speak to any discrimination or mistreatment that I personally experienced as a guest on the show. However, just learning more about what is going on at Fox 29, and as we know, just across many media publications, not only in the nation, but specifically here in Philly, right? Print, broadcast, otherwise. It's not anything that I think we can take lightly. I will always be appreciative for the opportunities that were afforded to me to join, folks on the show. And I absolutely do stand by the belief that, no, there's no place for hate, for racism, for discrimination, for, the any type of censorship or, being able to, especially as a contributor. And I think that's the other thing that really caught my eye, Ernest, when, you were first breaking or I should say sharing the story with Ken Rottweiler, that, he didn't, from my understanding, he was like a legal analyst, right, who contributed to the station.
He's a lawyer. He's not,
right.
His full-time.
Right.
He got his own thing going on. But he would come on there and was paid on it to give his perspective, and the fact that he was being, shifted in that kind of way was kind of alarming.
Yeah. And I know so many, now mind you, Ken is white. I know so many various guests and contributors, or at least, folks who make regular appearances on Fox 29 that are Black or of color. And so to think, if this is how a white man is being treated, gosh, that only kind of raises questions about, well, what is the case for others? Even with me speaking to the fact that is not my experience, it is still something that it's like, okay, well, let's talk, let's figure this out. Let's make sure that if this situation can be corrected and rectified and the proper folks held accountable for this, I think that needs to happen. And so I know a lot of folks in Philly watch Fox 29, and in no way is this us as a station or me as a host or whatever saying don't watch. I'm saying, if anything, follow the story, and make sure that much like what we're doing in our community with so many other media and news outlets, that we're holding all of us, and that includes WURD as well, accountable for our journalistic practices, for the cultures that we breed in our newsrooms, in our professional environments. All of that matters. So yeah, Ernest, for folks who want to learn more about the story, who want to read it and kind of get caught up and, continue to follow it, what's the best way for them to do that?
So yeah, they can just check it out on PhillyMag.com. It's currently the #1 trending story on our website. So when you go to PhillyMag.com, you just look on the far right side. It says trending. It's the #1 story. The headline is Fox 29 becoming Fox News? That's what some employees say.
Got you. All right. So you mentioned, that you got your fiance. Have you all figured out a date yet? Like, especially with COVID-19 and everything going on?
Yeah, I told some people already about it.
Okay.
So the situation I had, was we're getting married October of 2021.
Okay. Okay, good. Y'all get yourself some time with everything going on.
We got a venue. We're going to have that Penn Museum.
Okay.
And we initially started off with 155 people, but now we're down to 100 because of COVID and because of just reduction of size. And some people have, of course, passed away, their loved ones, and distance and things. So we're tightening that list down to 100, which was good.
Yeah.
Because I saved like 5,000, I think I did when doing it that way.
Save some coin.
And I've already paid off a third of the wedding, and that's feeling good. Because some of being in home means that I'm not spending as much on like going out and doing all these things. And my summer is like been, a couple of little dinners, like maybe 2 dinners this month I went on, but a lot of cooking at home, a lot of Uber Eats, but nothing really, crazy, no really big money drops. And, NABJ convention isn't happening in person. So normally I used to get really excited about getting all ready for, a week excursion. But, that's money that I saved, and now I just went ahead and put in the wedding. So I'm 1/3 down in the wedding, and it's just going by really fast. So it's just, I would say over there with planning, it has been good.
That's good. Well, congratulations again to you both, and appreciate you for joining us once again for Happy Hour on WURD. All right, loves, we are taking a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be back on the other side. And when we do, I promised you that I would play a clip from the conversation-style interview that took place between former President Barack Obama and Democratic presidential hopeful Joe Biden. So we're going to play that on the other side, and I would love to hear your reaction and whether it has, impacted your perception or your decision to possibly vote for Joe Biden on November 3rd. Stay tuned. We'll be back after these messages.
Weather and traffic to keep you informed for your drive home in the Happy Hour with Sincerely Sarita. Monday through Thursday, 4 till 7 p.m. Right here on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
In Pennsylvania, everyone counts, and everyone needs to participate in the census. Our population count determines our voice in government and how much federal funding our communities receive for health care, food assistance, education, transportation, housing, and more. So every infant and child, every foreign and U.S. citizen, everyone matters. For a stronger future, we all need to count. To learn more, go to pa.gov/census.
Listen to Laborers Live.
We created the weekend. We created the 40-hour work week. We just want enough to feed our family, be able to send our children to college, and let our next generation do better than we did.
To people that might have forgot how important unionism is in a country like the United States. People now infringing on our 8-hour workday, trying to work people more than 8 hours without overtime, trying to work people without benefits. In the long run, everybody's getting a fat paycheck except the worker. So this is really a wake-up call for America.
The struggle is continuous. Tune in to Laborers Live every Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. Sponsored by LESIT, the Laborers Employers Cooperation Education Trust of the Laborers District Council of Philadelphia and vicinity.
Local 332, Sam Staten Jr. Business Manager. Local 57, Esteban Vera Business Manager. Local 135, Dan Woodall Jr. Business Manager. Local 413, James Harper Jr. Business Manager. The Laborers District Council, Ryan Boyer Business Manager, and Tony Staten, Executive Director of LESIT.
This is Word Radio, independent black media.
What's up, Philly? It's Aaron Smith, the rapping professor. What a year! COVID-19 is shaking our communities to their core, and as we bravely but cautiously dare to consider life on the other side, we need to admit that things may never fully return to normal. But maybe that's not such a bad thing, especially when we consider the education of our children. Commonwealth Charter Academy, with nearly 20 years experience of providing online education, is now enrolling for the fall. Visit ccaeducate.me for details. Here are some of the benefits to you and your family. Online public education, complete with a laptop and headset, all at no cost to you. World-class instruction, experience in the safety of your living room over the internet with absolutely no cost to your family. Access to a flexible schedule that accommodates your work and extracurricular obligations. Visit ccaeducate.me today and discover the advantages of Pennsylvania's largest public cyber charter school as our communities emerge from this pandemic with hope, wisdom, and spirit.
It's Happy Hour with Sincerely Sarita right now on Word Radio and WordRadio.com.
You ready for me?
I wanna know your name, man. I wanna know if you got a man. I wanna know everything. I wanna know your number and if I can come over and I wanna know what you like. I wanna know so I can do it all night. But you're telling me I'm just a friend. You're telling me I'm just a friend. Oh baby, you got what I need. Got what I need. But you say I'm just a friend. Say I'm just a friend. Say I'm just a friend. 'Cause I can be your fantasy. But you say I'm just a friend. Say I'm just a friend. Yeah. I wanna know you in and out. I wanna know what you're all about. I wanna know what makes you laugh. I wanna know about your past. I wanna know how you move. I wanna know so I can move too. I wanna know, but you're telling me I'm just a friend. Telling me I'm just a friend. Oh baby, you got what I need. Got what I need, yeah. But you say I'm just a friend. Say I'm just a friend. I'm just a friend. 'Cause I can be your fantasy. But you say I'm just a friend. Say I'm just a friend. I'm just a friend. Whoa, baby, you got what I need. Got what I need, yeah. But you say I'm just a friend. Say I'm just a friend. I'm just a friend. Whoa, 'cause I can be your fantasy. Yeah. But you say I'm just a friend. But you say I'm just a friend, girl. Oh, can you give me one reason why you wouldn't want this kind of guy? 'Cause I stay dipped, I stay laced, and I know you know I'm fly. Girl, stop playing games with me. Let's get it on tonight. You got nothing to lose. Let me do what I do, baby. You got what I need. Got what I need. But you say I'm just a friend. Say I'm just a friend. Just wanna be your fantasy, girl. But you say I'm just a friend. But you say I'm just a friend. Oh baby, you got what I need. Got what I need. But you say I'm just a friend. Say I'm just a friend. Say I'm just a friend. Fantasy. Can I be your fantasy? Come on, girl. But you say I'm just a friend. You can call me anytime you like. Oh, anytime. Doesn't matter. I said it doesn't matter. We can do whatever it's up to you. Don't fight the feeling. Don't you fight the feeling. I can tell that it's real. Oh, girl. So won't you help me? But you say I'm just a friend. But you say I'm just a friend. Whoa. But you say I'm just a friend. But you say I'm just a friend. 'Cause I can be your fantasy. I can be your fantasy. But you say I'm just a friend. Yes, me. You say I'm just a friend.
Are they just a friend? Are they? You're back listening to Happy Hour on WURD Radio, 96.1 FM, 900 AM. Winding down on time here. Wanted to make sure I put this on your radar. There's two different things, but you know what? We're going to go with this. So today, a campaign video was released that captured, or at least showed, Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden and former President Barack Obama's first in-person meeting since the coronavirus outbreak began. This interview-style conversation covers a myriad of topics, including healthcare, Trump, and the future of America. It shows Obama emphasizing Biden's experience, their shared criticism of the Trump administration's strategy or lack thereof when it comes to COVID-19, which has now reportedly killed more than 140,000 Americans. So, wanted you to take a listen to a snippet of the conversation. It's probably about 3 minutes or so, maybe a little over, of the entire 15 minutes worth of conversation that happened. And if you've been tuned in on Word TV, y'all know I dropped the links over there. So I've been dropping the links to Ernest's piece, his piece, to Grace, the 15-year-old child in Michigan, who has been in a juvenile detention center now for well over, I guess, 60 days or roughly 60 days for not doing her online homework, right, which apparently was a violation of her probation. And there is a growing outcry for her to be released, and this speaking to over-policing of young black boys and girls. So you can find, those kind of links that we've mentioned or talked about today there. I'll also drop a Billboard.com article that focuses on the DMX Snoop Dogg versus battle that went down last night, which the show started with the prayer that was delivered by DMX. And if you missed it, I don't know, we might have to run that back. We'll see. But nonetheless, let's go ahead and let's get into this clip that features this brief part of this conversation between former President Barack Obama and Democratic presidential hopeful Joe Biden.
Been on our minds and was on our minds during my presidency, and that is the issue of race in America. And how communities of color are policed, how police are interacting and oftentimes acting in ways that are racially biased. And after the George Floyd tragedy, what we have seen is this extraordinary mobilization across the country of people of every walk of life, every race, every creed, who say, we're past time to do something about this. We understand we're not going to fix it all in one day, but we're going to take this seriously and we're going to start now. And we had experiences with this during my administration. Our response was not to ignore those problems. Our response was we had a 21st century policing task force that we put together that drew police chiefs, academics, young members of Black Lives Matter, all in a single conversation, and we arrived at a series of recommendations that are still pertinent to this day.
We got through the notion that if a police department was engaging in a practice and a pattern that was in violation of basic civil rights and civil liberties, the Justice Department of the United States of America, the federal government, would intervene and stop it.
Right.
Well, you authorized to put in place a whole range of things that would increase what most cops, the guys I grew up with, became cops, firefighters, and or priests. I mean, I wasn't qualified to do any one of them. The point was that they know they need more guidance.
And I think this is a process that we're all going through and we're all learning. And something that I've always admired about you, Joe, is your willingness to listen and learn. It is a sign of leadership when you are willing to hear other people's experiences. It has to do with communities that have systematically been underinvested in. It has to do with hiring and the fact that, you know, if you get on the phone applying for a job, send in your resume. If your name is John, you might get called back. If your name's Jamal, you might not.
It's about to be able to accumulate wealth. It's about being able to be in a position. You know better than I do, but I've watched it my whole life working in the city. Black entrepreneurs are as successful as white entrepreneurs, given a shot in the same circumstance.
We're in a moment right now. My daughters, your granddaughters, have been involved in this moment.
Best friends.
In which this next generation's saying, we have beliefs in all people being equal, and we don't see that operating out there. We're going to do something about it.
Yep.
And I think the key right now, and this is why I have so much confidence in your administration, wanting to be a partner in harnessing that energy and bringing about concrete reforms, concrete steps, not just in the criminal justice system, not just with respect to policing, but also with respect to investment, jobs, business development, is going to send a signal of decency and regard and concern and community around the country. Because policy is important. Laws are important. Budgets are important. But you know what's important also is what kind of values are you communicating?
Bingo.
And if we want to create a world that we want our kids and grandkids to grow up in, then we're going to have to do a whole lot better.
So, if you're just tuned in, who you just heard speaking, and many of you may be very familiar with the voices, that was former President Barack Obama and current Democratic presidential hopeful Joe Biden. The full conversation, it's about 15 minutes, maybe a little more, give or take. I've dropped the link to that full conversation over on Word TV. So if you haven't already, and you are social, go ahead and number one, like the Facebook page for the station at onWURD, FORWURD. But if for whatever reason you may not be social, but you do want to watch the full clip, you can. It's available on YouTube, so you can look that up to access the link and get the full information. I also want to shout out the Philadelphia Tribune because they have a piece that is written over there. It's titled "Obama Blasts Trump, Praises Biden in New 2020 Campaign Video." It was published about 9 hours ago. They have a direct link there if you want to check it out. But if you're just searching on YouTube, it's a socially distanced conversation, President Barack Obama, and it goes on, and so just search a socially distanced conversation, and you'll see it come up. My question, as we get ready to wind down on time, is, in what you just heard, if you were not planning to vote for Joe Biden, does this make, or let me put a little bit of respect on his name, former Vice President Joe Biden, does this conversation change anything? Or at least make you more likely to listen? If you had no intentions of voting for him, what if anything, does this particular conversation do for you? And if you are just kind of not even, you haven't drawn a line in the sand at this point about whether you are or not voting, would or would not vote, does this make a difference in that decision? So depending on who you are and where you're at, either one of those would apply to you. Would love to hear from you in the short time that we do have. Feel free to call in 215-634-8065. Again, 215-634-8065. You can also call in toll free 866-361-0900. Again, 866-361-0900. Would love to know where you're at with it. At bare minimum, at least you know that this conversation took place, which of course we know was not by accident or just by happenstance. There is a presidential race that is happening right now. And with that, if you didn't know, it's time, as in right now, for you to go ahead and apply for your mail-in or absentee ballot. You can do that right now for the general election that is taking place on November 3rd. So you can head to VotesPA, VOTESPA.com, and get the information that you need, submit your application. With this, I'm saying the sooner the better, y'all. The earlier we get it done, the better off you are, right? Because it's one less thing that you have to remember or think about doing, and it's one important thing that you make sure you get done. So votespa.com, bunch of information, toolkits, knowledge, all of that good stuff there that you can find to make sure that you are properly prepared for this general election that is coming up. Okay, because I know a lot of us been complaining about a lot of things, and especially when it comes to the current administration. And if you really want to try to change what's going on with the current administration by, I don't know, electing a new one, you can only really get that done by way of voting. So let's vote. Let's make sure that we are registered to vote, number one. But number two, that if we're not going to be going to these polls physically because of COVID-19, that we will still be showing up and making sure our voices are heard by way of mail-in ballots or absentee ballots. Okay, so votespa.com is the information. Shout out to Carlos over on Work TV. He said Carlos is on board. Shout out to Malcolm. He said he shared that conversation to watch later, and he's currently waiting for his mail-in ballot now. I will likely be doing this mail-in ballot. So that's on my to-do list this week, before this week is out, is to go ahead and get my stuff done. Because I know me. It is July currently, but July is pretty much over at this point, and come August, we're going to be dealing with many of us are going to be dealing with a whole nother situation that is very important, which is back to school and trying to figure out what is going on with that. Many of us are dealing with that now because we're trying to figure out if, schools or school districts are going to be making it mandatory for students to be in class. Does that mean that we will, if we're not with it, that we'll then have to make the shift to cyber charter schools or cyber schools or whatever else the case may be, homeschooling? All right, so knowing all that is on our plate, let's try to plan ahead, because there are some really important decisions that as community members, as parents, as employees, as entrepreneurs, as clergy, just all of these different levels that we have to make, have had to make, but are definitely, we're getting into, we're currently in what, quarter three, I think? Have we hit quarter three? Yeah, I think we're in, don't get me to, we towards the latter part, okay? And I don't know that 2020 is going to get easier from here. In fact, I would bet not. I think the closer we get to the election, the more intense things are likely to get. And so with that being the case, as much as we can begin to clear off our plate or to have a strategy or a game plan around right now, the more beneficial our families in our community and our cities will be. So that's just something to keep in mind. But time to get out of here for this week, you know. Kayla J, what you just saying? We didn't even do try and tried it today.
It's all right.
I'll work mine into mine. I'm just saying.
Playlist dropped today in the newsletter. Let me know what y'all think. Hit me up on socials. And just let me know your feedback this week. I'm focusing on growth. Also, join me tonight at 8. Shameless plug. Join me tonight at 8 over on Facebook Live, where I'll be hosting a church musicians forum, talking to musicians and singers. So if you are a musician and a singer, or you know a musician and a singer, especially if they're churchy, you know, shoot them my way. Shoot them my way. The stream will be at IYDCOGIC. Again, IYDCOGIC, starting at 8 p.m. I'm really excited to talk to some musicians. Why you dead over there?
First of all, I wasn't dead. I was asleep.
Why you sleep over there?
Churchy.
Churchy. I'm just saying.
Okay.
That's
churchy.
what
you just said. That's what you just said. She's so churchy, y'all. She got her face mask, got faith in the cross, and it's bedazzled. What? I'm telling you.
You ain't even talk about the one I had on yesterday that said "Cold Girl with the Heels."
I was trying to let you be great. I was trying to let you be girl, but you said churchy, so it was like, well.
I'm not ashamed of my churchiness with the head shaking and all. Let me stop because I actually hit my head earlier, so that hurt.
So I'm just saying, if you're going to be venturing out here into this world, as it is, you know, reopening, opening, whatever, trying to figure it out, specifically when it comes to services that you may or may not want to get done, make sure, if you can, you call ahead to figure out what their protocols or their practices are, or pop up with your mask on, and you know, just case the joint, see what it's looking like, see what the you know, how it's flowing in there. Today was the first day in 4 or 5 months I got my eyebrows done, and I've been watching. Okay, I was watching. I kept my mask on the whole time, and they definitely did a really good job of like, you know, cleansing and sanitizing and all of that good stuff. And you can't even get into the joint without them buzzing you in. Like, they looking at you and talking through, you know, whatever, trying to figure out what you're looking for, what you want, you know, letting it be known what services they do and don't offer due to COVID-19 and all that good stuff. So I appreciated that. It'll probably, I'm not going to lie, I don't know that it's something that I feel that I need done regularly at this point. I just know my eyebrows had reached a point where I tried, and it was like, all right, let me try to clean them up, and then I'll carry them from here on, you know, for a little bit, and then touch base with y'all in a few months or something. But nonetheless, I'm just saying, if you're going to do it right, okay? Do it right. Anywho, it's about time to get out of here. Thank you to each and every one of my guests who made today's show possible. Stay tuned for tonight on Word. Much love and appreciation to Kayla J for holding down the phone lines, the boards, and everything in between. If you haven't already, follow WURD Radio across all platforms, at onWURD on Facebook, at onWURD over on Instagram and YouTube. While you're at it, check me out on Facebook and IG at Sincerely Sarita, SYREETA, not Sarita, not Cyrita, not any of those things. Sarita, okay? Just FYI. You can also follow Kayla J over on Instagram at KALAJ_music nerd, because there is no Y in her name. Okay? But anyway, we'll be right back here, God willing, Monday, 4 to 7 p.m., rocking with you for happy hour. Until then, though, remember to taste your words before you feed them to someone else. And always, always, always empathize, empower, and evolve. Peace.